Link, I know we got to talk to you last night about the FGCU game, but going back to last weekend in Greenville, I guess just overall the performance by the team to kind of handle the conditions and the adversity of having to play two on Saturday, especially kind of that late game there and Illinois making a comeback. Just what do you think overall the teams played in Greenville?
Now, I've been happy with the response of the guys, and we've had some quirky things. That tournament, obviously, when you draw it up, it had a pretty neat flow to it from start to finish, and that clearly was not at all how it evolved. And that's fine. You deal with some of those things. So to not play Friday, it was what, low 40s and rain all day, and then to double up Saturday and to walk. I think we got back into the hotel was after midnight, and then have to come back Sunday and play in 7-hour bus ride. It's a lot, and the response overall was really good. And then when you find yourself in control of a game, that you ultimately relinquish that control and you're in a tie ball game after you felt like you had control of the Illinois game, that response was also really good from the guys. We have to keep learning. Like, the positive moments provide opportunities to learn, and some of the negative things that come up, you have to learn from that too. And I've been pleased with the response of the guys physically. That was a lot. That was probably a situation in a conference tournament, not the ACC tournament, but there are conference tournaments and regionals where you may have to play an early game and sit and come back on the back end of the evening and play. So we didn't start that game till probably 8:20 or 8:30. So a very unique experience that you could find yourself in later in the year. Not something I had done in the regular season that I can recall, but good response by the guys, and Jamie and Phil, strength and conditioning and athletic training to make sure the guys were prepared, because that's an interesting function for your body to game ready and go that hard and then sit and come back and have to do it again with what the ramifications of these things are is pretty impressive.
Hey, Link, I know entering the season, you had Connor in that Sunday spot. The way the first weekend played out, I guess, pushed him to the Tuesday. And now he's kind of, after I know it's short-term week to week at first, he's been locked in there. I'm wondering, have you and Micah talked at all about the long-term? Is there a time you think you might work him back into the weekend? Are you happy with keeping him in the midweek for now? I guess, where is that kind of at?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, and it clearly played out to let him throw these Tuesdays. Now, at some point, as you move into the conference and, you have some other pitchers that are starting to build pitch counts, and you have Army back in play and some of these other guys that we know we can extend as the season gets deeper, we need to look at when to flip him. And we're probably at that point right now, depending on how yesterday went, like as he lengthened the outing out. And that game, I know you look at the final score and it seems like that game was out of hand, but it wasn't really in total control until later in the game. And so we wanted to let Whit pitch. He's trained to do that. We're probably at a point now where we need to start to look at getting him more prepped for the weekends moving forward. So we talked about it today. We'll continue to evaluate it through the weekend and see what makes the most sense. But we're at that point. In the Tuesday games, our Tuesday schedule from the first Tuesday through the end, there's really no breathing room. So to have somebody that you trust that's capable on the Tuesdays has helped us as we ease into the weekends. Well, we're probably at the point now where we need to look at trying to get him prepped to throw against Notre Dame.
Hey, Coach, you've used kind of a rotation at the catcher spot right now. Can you just talk about what you've seen out of Holbrook and West, and if you're going to keep doing that going forward?
To have depth, and Riley Jackson, he's going to be a really good player here as a freshman. Like, he's talented. To have versatility and depth, you really open up 3 or 4 other players. Like, you can run Duncan, you can run Jordan Williams, you can pinch hit Max, you could pinch hit Fisher, Kamaka, you could straight up pinch hit Jackson or Holbrook. This is what we've talked about with this group of players. It gives you a lot of flexibility to manage that group as a whole, and it keeps them fresh. Last night was a good example. Holbrook caught and was doing fine. when he came up at a point where he could lead off, Jordan Williams has a pretty good knack for that energy and that lead off type environment. So we led him off. That allowed Riley Jackson to go into the game, or you could have put Jackson West in there. So depth at that position is probably more important than any other position player spot on the team, and we have it. They're unique. Holbrook, obviously a right-handed hitter. Jackson West, a lefty that sprays it around, that can run the bases and do some things. Holbrook, physical, has some juice. So we have some good options back there, and we will continue to move those guys in and out like you've seen.
Link, talking about that lineup depth that you mentioned there, I think, I mean, it feels like there've been a number of games early this season where, I mean, just the fact that truly anyone through 1 can 9 can do it any given night in the lineup, and you have even guys 11, 12, 13 on the bench as such. Just what do you think that can do when, I mean, just wearing teams down? That it can be anybody's night. It feels like this entire lineup is clicking right now.
When you have depth, everybody's at bat becomes important. You know, the guys that are playing those at bats, the heightened sense of I need to keep this going to maintain the playing time that I am fighting for, and the guys that get their moments to come into the games in the middle or the end of the game or to pinch hit, they're fighting to earn more opportunities. And I see that, and we're trying to keep as many of those guys engaged and involved, because clearly there's some talented kids here that aren't necessarily starting the bulk of these games. So it's a luxury to have. I think the competition within the team itself pushes the team along, because everybody's got to stay on point with what they're doing at the plate, on the mound, and for that matter, defensively. So it's a really, you hear coaches in all sports talk about the competition that talented rosters provide. And we have that. And it's a neat thing to have, and managing those guys and trying to find the right times and the right matchups to use everybody. That's what we talk about and think about as these games evolve from a coaching side. So it's fun. It creates a lot of moves and a lot of thoughts that you have to deal with.
Jamie hadn't really given up many base runners the first 2 starts, and then gave up some base runners the other day, but his ability to work through it and strand all those runners on base, just how impressed were you with his ability to pitch in the big moments?
No, he's been great. The maturity and the progress he's made from a stuff standpoint, and then from a confidence standpoint. And I think when you realize what your stuff can do, it's natural to find some confidence from that. And he's been able to dial it up a little bit and get out of some messes. And he's got a lot of things going in his favor right now. He's trained hard. Pitching this summer helped him, you know, getting away from the confines of Tallahassee and home and going and pitching in the outside college world. It's good. It's a good experience for the guys. I think you're seeing a lot of guys that are benefiting from that experience, and the maturity, the physicality, the stuff, the understanding of what he's doing, repeating a little better. We're just seeing all of this take shape for him. It's fun. And the confidence and the stuff, you know, which comes first in his case, like it's a nice mesh. I think seeing that stuff and getting some swings and misses and some bad contact and some strikeouts when you need it, that's an easy way to build confidence.
With Cam pitching so late on Saturday, you expect to throw him on Friday again this week,
yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. It wasn't a situation where we felt like he was overworking himself at all. So we're going to keep him on Friday. Now we'll monitor a little bit of how this goes for him and the workload and the stress level on the pitching. We'll just have to monitor that, but he's been fine, and you know how competitive he is. So you have a big horse like that horse wants to go run around. We just have to make sure we contain it and think through like the workload as that evening wears on and on.
And the base running, you guys have stolen more bases this year at a higher rate this year than last year, obviously, but also the first to third and the bunt execution and all that stuff, just how impressive you've been with the early season base running and the execution of some small things.
Yeah, the base running, we've had some opportunities, and when you're prepared and somebody gives you a chance to take advantage, it's fun to see the efficiency with which we function. Clearly, when you have the amount of base running traffic that we have, like, your opportunity to run the bases increases because you have far more guys on base. So we've kind of benefited from all of that. But I do like, especially on the bases, the efficiency of the functionality of what I see: base stealing and base running. I think Marco last night didn't just hit the ball, like, it just cleared the second baseman, but off the bat, it was hard to tell. And you saw Cam, I mean, perfect base running. He froze, and if the second baseman had grabbed that, he would have been able to get back. But once it got over the second baseman's head, he made a good read and break and was able to score. So there's some things that statistically may not really show up that I do like that we're doing on the bases. I'm not happy with the short game. I'm just not. We're trying to take that from the training setting into the games, and I can't grade that out real well right now. It's one of the harder things to work on. You know, it's hard to ask the pitchers to throw live innings where we just bunt, you know, so you're trying to do a lot of this with the machines, and, you know, we set up the field every day and they get 15 or 20 minutes to come out and do their bunting where the field is dedicated to that. But we haven't quite taken it, Brett, honestly, from the training phase and the scrimmage into the actual game. Some of it's pitch selection. You have to get the right pitches to bunt the ball in the areas of the field you're wanting to bunt them, to truly make those things high stress, difficult plays and base hits. And that's what you're trying to do. We're not there yet. Like, Lodice's bunt yesterday, honestly, but it was a base hit, but it wasn't what we were looking for. But good for him. Like, it still worked. But that's one phase we have to continue to grow with. It hasn't been quite sharp enough for me.